Hello and welcome back to the UiPath Integration Service video series. In the previous video, we've seen how to establish connections, develop a project using those connections, and publish the project. In this video, we'll demonstrate how to configure a trigger in Integration Service. Before we learn about how to configure triggers, let's first understand why we need to configure them. Triggers are an essential component in the UiPath Integration Service as they allow us to automate processes based on specific events. These events can include things like the creation of a new file, the receipt of an email, or the update of a database record. By configuring a trigger to monitor these events, we can automate the associated process, thereby saving time and reducing the risk of human error. Additionally, triggers enable us to create more dynamic and responsive automation solutions that can adapt to changing circumstances in real time. Overall, configuring triggers is critical for efficient and effective automation in UiPath Integration Service. Great! Let's remember the use case for which we've built the project so that it can ease our understanding while configuring the trigger. Our use case involves streamlining the new hire onboarding process using automation and integrating different HR and IT systems. Alright, as a first step, since we have the Studio project, let's go to Integration Service. To set up a trigger for any connection in our system, we can navigate to the Connections tab and select the desired connection. From there, we can add the trigger directly. Alternatively, if we click on the three dots from the same connection page, we can select Managed Triggers to access the same page. If we prefer to view all available triggers, we can go to the Triggers page and add the trigger from here. Let's continue from here. First, we select the connector and choose the default connection. The event that we want to trigger is when a new file is created, and this is relevant to our use case. Specifically, we want the process to be triggered when a file is placed in a specific OneDrive location. We can specify conditions by grouping them. For example, we can set the parent ID, which would be the folder that we're monitoring, as a condition. We can also specify that the name of the file must contain the word onboarding. If we want, we can add further conditions. As we can see, there are different data filters available, such as owner email, file type, URL, and so on. Next, we'll select the process and the runtime license. We'll choose the unattended option and verify that there is at least one available runtime unattended license. And yes, we do have the license, and it's currently connected. Lastly, we can hit Add Trigger to create the trigger. And here it is, the last one on the Triggers page. Once the trigger is created, we can view its history, including any attempts to execute the associated process. Each attempt will be displayed here, along with its state and input arguments. These arguments are passed from the process and can be viewed in this section. This brings us to the end of this demo, where we learned how to configure triggers. In the next video, we'll see how to run the process and examine its outcomes. Thank you for watching, and happy automation!